Hello, guys. Welcome back. I'm your host, Leonard Sinape, and today we're going to have a lot of fun. So, today we're actually going to focus on taking that image that we built in the last video, running it in a Docker container, and exposing it publicly so that people can access it from the web. And then, what we're going to do once we know that everything is working and configured correctly, we're going to take that image that we built and push it to Docker Hub for version control, right? So we're in for a treat today. We're going to have a lot of fun. Let's go ahead and get this started. And without further ado, let's get started. All right. So one of the first things you want to do, as we went over in our previous videos, is set up your DNS to point at the server with the URL that you want it to point to. All right. We've already run over this in our how to create an A record video. Same steps. Just want to show you guys the A record that we will be using for this particular website. All right. So let's go ahead and navigate over to GoDaddy. Let's come over here to our domain. All right. Let's come over here to domain. All right. And let's click DNS. And once we click DNS, in this case, you would add a new record, which would be an A record. We went over that before. I just want to show you where this is going to be pointed to. And this will be pointed here. So this will be python.jaquezingram.online, right? And you see we have the IP address for our server here. All right, perfect. So now once you've done that, next thing you want to do is create yourself a Docker Hub account. Very important, very necessary. This is going to house your images and create repos for your images. That way you can handle version control, or let's say you migrate to a new server, you don't have to build the image over and over. You just pull it from your Docker Hub account. All right. Now, after that, you want to come over here to your server. Let's go ahead and reset. All right. And I've already upgraded my servers for today. So what we're going to do is SSH into the server we're going to be running everything on. All right. We already went over the bash RC file. Let's go ahead and clear our screen. All right. Now the next step you want to do is log into your Docker Hub account. So once you create your Docker Hub account, you have a username, you have a password. Very simple. You want to go to Docker login, press enter. I'm already logged in, so I don't have to complete that step. But in your case, you will enter your username, you will enter your password. That way your virtual machine is communicating directly with Docker Hub. Very important. All right. So let's go ahead and get to what we came here for. So let's go ahead and check on the images, and we can take a look at that image that we created. All right. As you can see, we have it right here. The Python Shinken image, we created that in the last video, so that's perfect. All right. Let's go ahead and reset, and we're going to navigate to that directory that we were working in that we built the image out of. So you want to CD into the directory. Let's go ahead, clear our screen so we know what we're working with. That's LS, and we're just going to go over these files one more time. Let's go ahead and take a look at the compose file. All right. So this compose file is basically going to detail everything that we're going to create. All right. It's like an instruction. Okay. So the name of the container, very important, is going to be Python Jenkins project. All right. And the image we'll be using, we've already specified that in the previous video. Also, you want to keep this uniform with what the image is named in your Docker Hub account. Very important. Build is going to be in the current directory. Then we have the Dockerfile, which is going to listen to and perform the Docker steps on. And another important step here, we got the ports, which we're going to be running this on 8082. Very important. You'll see why that's significant here in a second. All right, let's take a look at the Dockerfile once again, just so you can see pretty much the Dockerfile and the container and how it's going to be built. All right, so we got all of that understood. Let's go ahead and reset. And the command we're going to be using to build this container is going to be docker compose up dash dash build dash D. All right, we're going to run this. The dash D is important. That way the container can run in the background and it can continuously be exposed without you having to monitor it. All right, so once we press enter, we should see some motion. Let's see what happens. All right, looks like something happened. We had some motion there. The way we check to see if this worked is you want to enter the command docker ps to see all of your running containers. All right, and as you can see, 12 seconds ago, we have the image and we have the container that's been built. All right, very simple, very easy, very efficient. And we also know what port is running on. You have the container name here that was specified in the compose file. All right, so now at this point we should be able to go to our web browser and pull this image up and see what was indicated on the index.html file. All right, so without further ado, let's come over here to our web browser. Let's open up a new tab. Let's type in the same domain that we specified on GoDaddy. In this case, since this is running locally to our server, it's not encrypted yet. All right, you're going to want to hit :8082 because that's the port we specified. All right, and once you hit enter, you'll see that everything is running properly the way it is supposed to. All right. Now, some people may be wondering, hey, I usually see a website that says HTTPS. Why do yours say HTTP? Well, if you want to make it say HTTPS and secure this for public consumption, of course, you would actually have to include a Let's Encrypt configuration in your compose file, which is something we'll go over at a later time. All right, very important. And you want to run it like this first to make sure everything is working properly. And then once you know that everything is working properly, you expose it to the public. Everyone can go in and access it. All right? Very simple, very efficient, very easy, very important. All right? So you should be proud of yourself. You successfully built your first image. You're running your first container in Docker currently as we speak. And we have it exposed here. All right? Now let's talk about some troubleshooting steps. So let's say you run into an issue. Hey, I performed all the steps you told me to perform, Linux or Nape, and it's still not working. I'm not sure what's going on. So the troubleshooting step you want to take is you actually want to check out the Docker logs to see what it's saying, see if it's getting hung up somewhere. Is there an error message that you may be running into? All right. So the way that you see that is type in Docker logs, and then you want to take the container name. So in this case, it would be python-jenkins-project. All right, and you're going to come back with some output, and you can do this while the container is actually after the container is being built. You should see it go through these steps. And you see it gives you a timestamp, it tells you what's going on, and if it gets hung up anywhere, it'll tell you here in the Docker logs. This is how you troubleshoot. Why did I build my container? Why is it not exposed to the internet? You come here to the Docker logs, you're able to find that out. Very important, all right? So, now that we have everything running, we know it's working, let's go ahead and push our image to Docker Hub, all right? Very important step. Let's say you migrate to a different server. Let's say you want to share this configuration with someone else. All they would simply have to do is pull your image. And once they pull your image, half of the battle is out the way. They don't have to build the image. Then all they have to do from that point is run it in the container and expose it. All right. So let's clean the screen. And we're going to want to push it to Docker Hub. So let's go to Docker Images. Let's make sure we have the correct image name here. All right. And the command for that would be docker push. All right, so you're already logged in with your Docker credentials, so it's going to automatically push to the Docker account that you're logged into. All right, very important. So this can be done with the image ID or the repository or image name. Okay, so docker push, you start typing it, tab it out. All right. See, we have some output here, And as you can see, looks like the image was pushed. Let's go to Docker Hub and check, see what's going on. As you can see, this last said 10 hours ago. When you refresh it, all right, give it a second. You see less than a minute ago. So we know that it was successfully pushed to Docker Hub. Now, like I said, in any case, you want that configuration, you want that image, all you have to do is pull it, run it in a container as we went over today, and then you're ready to rock and roll. All right? So, very important steps when it comes down to your DevOps journey. The next video, we're going to do some troubleshooting. We may do a bit of Jenkins, right? So that way we can go into Jenkins and automate that full process with one click of a button. All right? Very important when it comes down to automation. Very important when it comes down to making sure you don't make any mistakes, making sure everything is accurate. And that's also how it's done in a production environment, is by automating it with whatever CI/CD platform that you're using. All right? So that's pretty much it. You guys make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Also visit my website, links.jacquezingram.online, where you can pretty much access all of these websites that I went through the same steps that we went over today to deploy. All right? And that was it for today. I'm your host, Linux Sanape. I'll see you next time.